Imagine pulling into your driveway after a long day, only to find a stranger hammering a condemned sign into your front lawn. Her face twisted in smug satisfaction like she's just won the lottery of petty power plays. That's how it started for me. Alex Harlan. A quiet software engineer who'd inherited his grandparents' modest ranch-style home on the outskirts of Willow Creek Estates, a supposedly idyllic suburban neighborhood in upstate New York that felt more like a gated prison with its endless HOA rules dictating everything from grass height to mailbox colors. I stepped out of my truck, groceries in hand. And there she was, Barbara "Barb" Kensington, the self-appointed queen bee of the Willow Creek HOA board. Her pearl necklace gleamed under the afternoon sun, and her perfectly coiffed bob haircut screamed, "I volunteer for every committee because I have nothing better to do." "Mr. Harlan," she said in that saccharine tone that barely masked her venom, "I'm afraid your property is in violation of Section 4.2 of our covenants. This eyesore of a house doesn't conform to our architectural standards." I set the bags down slowly, forcing a polite smile. "Barb, we've been over this. My place isn't part of Willow Creek. It's grandfathered in, separate deed. Outside your boundaries. I've got the papers." She waved a manicured hand dismissively. "Oh, honey. Boundaries change. We've expanded our oversight to maintain community harmony. You wouldn't want to be the one dragging down property values, would you? Think of the children." The way she said children made it sound like my unmowed lawn was personally responsible for juvenile delinquency. I bit my tongue, nodding as she slapped a citation notice on my door. Inside, I seethed. But I didn't snap. Not yet. I'd heard the whispers around town, how Barb and her cronies had bullied the Wilsons into repainting their garage door 3 times because the shade of beige was offensively neutral, or fined the Patels for hanging holiday lights that weren't seasonally appropriate. But me? They'd started rumors that I was some reclusive squatter, dodging taxes, maybe even running a meth lab in the basement. All because my house sat on a plot that predated their precious subdivision by decades. I kept quiet, documenting everything on my phone's notes app, knowing silence was my sharpest weapon. A few days later, the real fun began. I was in my backyard, tending to the old apple tree my grandpa planted, when I heard the crunch of tires on gravel. Peeking over the fence, I saw Barb rolling up in her pristine SUV, trailed by a couple of guys who looked like they'd stepped out of a bad corporate retreat. One was in a cheap suit, clipboard in hand, the other wore a county badge but carried himself like he'd rather be golfing. "Alex," Barb called out, her voice dripping with false concern as she marched through my gate uninvited. "We've brought reinforcements to sort this little mix-up." The suit guy extended a hand. "I'm Derek Voss, HOA legal counsel. We've reviewed the maps, and your lot falls under our jurisdiction now. Rezoning happened last fall, all for the greater good. You understand." I didn't shake. "Greater good? Like how you rezone Mrs. Garcia's garden into a violation because her tomatoes were too red?" Barb's eyes narrowed, but she plastered on that HOA smile. Now, Alex. No need for hostility. We're here to help you integrate. Pay the back dues, about $2,500, and we'll overlook the non-compliant siding. The county guy, Phil from zoning, shifted uncomfortably. "Actually, folks," I double-checked the records. "This parcel's still independent. No annexation approved." Barb's face flickered, a mix of shock and denial, but she recovered with a laugh that sounded like nails on chalkboard. "Phil, darling, you must have the old maps. Our board voted unanimously, it's binding." I crossed my arms. letting the absurdity hang. Voted? On my land? That's cute. Want to see my tax bill? Still says unincorporated, no HOA fairy dust sprinkled on it. Derek cleared his throat. We'll need time to verify. As they piled back into their cars, Barb shot me a look that could curdle milk. This isn't over. Mr. Harlan. We enforce order here. I waved cheerfully. Can't wait for round 2. But inside, I was already pulling up county records online, screenshotting every discrepancy. The rumors amped up after that, neighbors whispering I was anti-community, a troublemaker. I smiled through it at the grocery store, letting them think I was crumbling. Things escalated when the passive-aggressive notes turned into outright sabotage. One evening, I came home to find my front door lock drilled out and replaced. A shiny new padlock gleaming mockingly. Taped to it was a notice, property secured due to safety hazards, Willow Creek HOA. Hazards? My house passed inspection last year. I circled the place, spotting tire tracks in the mud and a broken window latch in the back. They'd been inside. Heart pounding. I used the hidden key under the porch step, Grandpa's old trick, and slipped in. Drawers rifled. Papers scattered. Even my grandpa's antique clock missing from the mantel. Subtle, I muttered, firing up my laptop. I'd installed discreet nanny cams after the first visit. The kind that upload to the cloud in real time. Footage showed 2 shadows at midnight, one bulky guy fumbling with tools, the other a woman directing with frantic whispers. Her silhouette? Unmistakably Barb's rigid posture. Like a drill sergeant in heels. I copied the video, drove to the sheriff's office, and plopped it in front of Deputy Ramirez. Breaking and entering. Theft. Forgery, pick your felony. He watched, eyebrows climbing. That's Barb Kensington, all right. And that lug? Probably her brother-in-law. Runs the HOA's maintenance crew. I leaned back. They think they can just claim my house? Like it's a lost puppy? Ramirez nodded. HOA's gone wild. We've had complaints. But this? Warrant time. As I left, I overheard him radioing, yeah. Another Karen caper. Back home, I boarded the window, sipping coffee while scrolling HOA forums. Turns out, Willow Creek wasn't unique. Tales of power-drunk boards fining folks for unapproved bird feeders or excessive smiling. I chuckled darkly, the irony of community enforcers acting like mini-dictators. But the satisfaction brewed when Ramirez called. We raided their office. Fake docs everywhere. Your case cracked it open. Barb's excuses would be gold. The climax hit like a freight train at the town hall meeting, where the HOA board paraded their achievements to a room of nodding sycophants. I'd tipped off a local reporter, and the place was packed. Barb stood at the podium, beaming. Friends, our community thrives because we uphold standards. Take the Harlan property, a blight we've addressed for everyone's benefit. Murmurs rippled. I stood up from the back row, calm as ice. Blights? Like how you broke into my home. Barb? Stole heirlooms? Or the forged maps claiming my land? Gasps echoed. She flushed crimson, gripping the mic. That's slander. We're protecting values. Your ramshackle eyesore lowers appraisals. I held up my phone, projecting the cam footage on the wall screen I'd rigged earlier. The room watched her shadowy figure directing the break-in, her voice hissing. Hurry, before the squatter returns. Laughter bubbled, not kind, but the bitter kind that exposes hypocrisy. Squatter? I've got deeds older than your Botox. Barb. Derek jumped in, stammering. This is out of context. We were inspecting. More chuckles. Then Ramirez entered with state investigators. Barbara Kensington. You're under arrest for burglary, fraud, and conspiracy. Her face? Priceless, a cocktail of arrogance shattering into panic. Eyes wide as she sputtered. But we're the authority. For the community. Handcuffs clicked. And she was let out. Heels clicking futilely. The boards scattered like roaches in light. Investigations revealed a racket, embezzled dues funding fake improvements, coerced sales flipping land to developers. Victims lined up, the single dad fined for a non-regulation swing set. The elderly couple threatened with liens over improper curtains. Refunds flowed. The HOA dissolved. I got my clock back. Plus restitution. But the real win? Watching Barb's empire crumble in court. Her pleas of misunderstanding met with eye rolls. Months later. Willow Creek breathed easier, no more nitpicky patrols. Just neighbors barbecuing without fear of citations. I sat on my porch. Deed in hand. The apple tree blooming defiantly. The air felt lighter. Unburdened by arbitrary rules. But as I watched kids play freely in yards once policed to perfection, I wondered, in a world obsessed with order, who really disrupts the peace, the rule breakers or the tyrants enforcing nonsense? Was Barb the villain? Or just a symptom of a system that lets petty power corrupt absolutely?